Hey everyone, welcome to XiaoWu's channel. I'm 31 years old. I lost my job and right now I have zero income. But I've got a baby who's almost 6 months old, and we're living out here in rural China. Want to see how I can still have a genuinely happy day with just $5? Follow my camera and come spend a day with me, my wife, and our soon-to-be 6-month-old baby right here in the countryside. My wife and I just woke up, and our little guy is already sitting on his play mat like a little king, entertaining himself. Honestly, taking care of him at night is exhausting. It really drains you. That's why my mom takes turns helping us with the night shift, so we can actually get a proper sleep every other day. The baby looks super energetic this morning. Mom told me he barely slept at all last night. This crawling mat is something we bought for him just a few days ago. It's basically going to be his playground for the next few months. With this mat we don't have to worry about him rolling off the bed while he's playing. Our baby is only a few days away from turning 6 months old. In another 2 months at most, he'll start learning to crawl on the floor, so we'll have to set up some barriers around his play area to keep him safe. But right now we don't need to worry, he still can't move around by himself. In the mornings, my wife is the one who makes breakfast for us. It's super simple. Just the classic Chinese congee that most families eat. We also ordered some traditional Chinese meat pies online. They come frozen, so we fry them in a pan with a little oil until both sides turn golden brown. These pies are stuffed with preserved vegetables and pork. They smell amazing. Usually we pair the congee with whatever leftovers we have from the night before. Breakfast really only takes about 10 minutes, just boil some plain white congee and we're good to go. Time flies so fast. I still remember the night he was born. It was already late. My parents, my wife's parents, and I were all waiting anxiously outside the delivery room, hearts pounding, praying that both mom and baby would be okay. When they finally came out safe and sound, I felt this huge wave of relief wash over me. 2 months before the baby was born, I lost my job, and at first I was really down. But the moment he arrived, everything changed. I suddenly had hope again. Unemployment wasn't what I wanted, but it's become a huge issue across China these days. In recent years the economy has been struggling, and so many young people like me have lost their jobs. Because there's no income, a lot of young couples who might have gotten married are choosing not to, and many who plan to have kids are putting it off. Looking at myself, if I still had a stable job and income, I probably would have wanted a second child. But right now the situation just isn't optimistic, so until my finances improve, we're not having another baby. That's why China's birth rate has dropped so sharply in recent years. It basically mirrors the economic reality. Especially for fresh university graduates, finding any job at all is incredibly tough. And even people who have jobs live with the constant fear of being laid off. Of course, if you can't even find work, marriage and kids are the last things on your mind. The government solution? They give couples who have a child a symbolic subsidy of 300 renminbi per month, about $43, and it only lasts 3 years. Honestly, the cost of raising a kid these days is so high that this money disappears after buying just 1 can of formula. It doesn't help at all. Personally, I worked for several years before this and managed to save some money, so we're not in immediate trouble. But I'm still sending out resumes every day. The difference now is crazy. A few years ago I'd get tons of replies the same day. Now I might wait several days and only get a couple of responses, and most of them are jobs with terrible hours. In China, a lot of companies ignore labor laws and run the 996 schedule. Basically, it means working from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., 6 days a week, with no overtime pay. Besides, my previous job was actually even worse than this one. If you don't know what that is, just Google it, you'll understand immediately. That's actually one of the reasons I started this YouTube channel. While I'm job hunting, I want to share my real daily life in rural China with all of you. Maybe it can bring in a little extra income to help support our small family. I've always loved making things with my own hands. A few days ago I found some leftover strawberries and oranges from the Chinese New Year guests. My wife said she was craving candied fruit, so I decided to make candied strawberries and candied oranges. Candied fruit is a classic Chinese snack. The most traditional version is candied hawthorn on a stick. You coat hawthorn with melted sugar and it looks like a little gourd. Its Chinese name is tanhulu, which means a gourd coated in sugar. But you can use almost any fruit. Here's exactly what we need: your favorite fruit, white sugar, and water. First, wash the fruit thoroughly. Remove the stems from the strawberries, peel the oranges, then pat everything completely dry with paper towels. Skewer them with toothpicks or long sticks and set them aside. Next, make the sugar syrup. The best ratio, according to all the tutorials I watched, is 2 to 1 sugar to water. Pour the sugar and water into the pot and heat until small bubbles start to form. Dip a spoon or chopsticks into the syrup and drop it into cold water. When it hardens and you can tap it against the edge of a plate and it makes a crisp knock sound like ice, it's ready. Now the final key step: turn the heat to the lowest setting so the sugar stays liquid but doesn't burn and turn black. One perfect piece of candied fruit, done. Quick warning: keep your hand far away from the hot sugar or you'll get burned. Always use long skewers. Here's how they turned out. They taste really good. I didn't control the heat perfectly this time, so the sugar got a little yellow and has a slight caramel flavor. But if you like caramel, it's actually delicious. If you love this crispy, sweet and sour traditional Chinese snack, try making it at home yourself. Drop your results in the comments, and if there is anything you don't understand, feel free to ask me in the comments section. I'd love to see them. After lunch and a short rest, we decided to drive to the town express station.
你买它吗？也可以开个前置拍一下。
你应该转个头，转个摄像头拍掉跟我一起。
我知道，我不等下转前置嘛。
Right now it's rapeseed flower season, and both sides of the road and all the fields are covered in bright yellow. It's beautiful. After living in the countryside for a few months, I've really fallen in love with the fresh air and scenery here. Life feels so relaxed. It's nothing like being stuck in an office cubicle all day in the city. then squeezing onto crowded subways to commute.
不是那个吗？
Right now we're at the very end of Chinese New Year, the 13th day after the Lantern Festival. Most people who went to big cities like Shanghai to work have already gone back. Before I lost my job, I was one of them.
往下面
But this year, way more people left home much later than usual. You can probably guess why. They're facing the same struggle I am.
就这个
A lot of people who lost their jobs are still looking for work instead of actually working. If they still had jobs, they should have returned around the 7th day of the new year according to China's official holiday schedule. But over the past 2 years, more and more people are leaving home super late. It shows they're still searching for jobs, just like me. I know quite a few young people who don't even want to go home for Chinese New Year anymore. Because traditional Chinese parents will immediately start pressuring them about marriage once they reach a certain age. Carrying on the family line is a big deal here. But when the economy is struggling and so many young people are unemployed, they're not even thinking about finding a partner. It's already hard enough just taking care of themselves. For me personally, these past few months have been the most relaxed time I've had since I graduated and started working. I've actually grown to love this slow-paced countryside life. When I was working, the company always made us do unpaid overtime. That's completely normal in Chinese local companies. I was always rushing, and never had time to sit down and really think about what I wanted out of life. These quiet months in the village have finally given me the space to reflect. The express station in town is almost empty right now, but just 10 days ago this place was packed and you had to line up. That's because everyone comes home for Chinese New Year, and only starts leaving again after the 15th day. This huge box is a big mirror my younger brother bought. He already went back to school, so he asked me to bring it home for him. It took some effort to lift it into the car. This is the biggest express station in town. Since it's quiet and there aren't many people, I could just walk in and grab our packages myself. Okay, we've got all the packages. Now let's take a walk around the streets of this small town. Compared to last week, it's become so much quieter. The shops on both sides had a huge rush of business during Chinese New Year. In almost every inland small town in China, the best sales period is Chinese New Year. That's when all the migrant workers come home with a year's earnings and spend it celebrating. Whenever we come to town we usually treat ourselves to a cup of milk tea. Today it's a bit hot, so we ordered iced fruit tea. It was delicious and about $1.7 US.
高南风不知道，是不是南风堂的南那个意思啊？是不是在望星山里面叫高南风啊？
Next we stopped at the snack store to stock up on daily snacks. There are no shops near our house, so we always buy a few days' worth when we're in town. This bag came to 56 renminbi, about $8. That should last us until our next trip.
多少钱一袋？
12。
人家那哪地方？往那里拿去。
When we passed the fried chicken shop, my wife said she wanted some. This new place in town is pretty good.
就拿10块钱这个。
黄金炸蘑菇。呀。
One bag was only 10 renminbi, about $1.5. Even though we have no income right now, since we finally made it to town, we figured we'd treat ourselves to a few things we like.
进去溜达也取几件预告。
We're back home. As soon as we unpacked everything, my wife asked me to open this box of pineapples. Online shopping in China is so convenient these days. You can buy almost anything and the prices are great. These 3 pineapples cost 31 renminbi total, about $4.5. One is roughly $1.5 each. This one is fully ripe. The other 2 are still a little underripe and will taste better in a couple more days.
这点轻哦。先吃这个吧。
So we'll cut the ripe one first. Unexpected things always happen. I suddenly smelled something from the baby and knew it was time to get busy. The weather is really hot today, so we decided to give him a bath.
尤其长大了1岁来洗澡澡都不怕了，乖乖乖呀！
This time we noticed the baby isn't afraid of water anymore. Before, the second his feet touched the water he would cry loudly. I still remember his very first bath in the hospital right after he was born. As soon as the nurse put him in, he was so scared he grabbed her clothes tightly. Now he lies in the bathtub and actually enjoys it. No crying at all. Our baby has an allergic constitution, and is allergic to cow's milk. We are currently trying goat's milk instead. He is prone to developing itchy rashes, so, in accordance with our doctor's advice, we need to ensure his skin is kept well moisturized. After the bath and getting him dressed, we already had his milk ready. The 3 of us sat down for afternoon tea together. A cup of fruit tea for $1.7, 1 pineapple for $1.5, and some fried chicken for $1.5. This is the happiness in my days with no job and no income. All of this can be achieved with just $5. Can you create your own little moments of happiness with only $5? Let me know in the comments below. Late in the afternoon, we took our baby for a stroll in a nearby area blooming with rapeseed flowers. The scenery here is truly lovely, and offers a real sense of mental relaxation. In the evening, I sat down at the computer to check for any responses to the resumes I sent out. The news isn't great, I didn't get many. Looking for a job really isn't as easy as it used to be. I've sent out dozens of resumes and only got 1 or 2 replies, and they're all positions with terrible hours and bad conditions. When I first graduated from university, I didn't even have to send resumes, companies would invite me to apply. Now it's completely different. Because of China's economic slowdown, job openings have shrunk dramatically. Plus millions of new university graduates enter the market every year, and it's extremely hard for them to find work. A lot of them basically graduate and become unemployed right away. It's a very common situation. Before the baby was born, I kept worrying about all the responsibilities ahead, and the job loss made me super anxious. But after he arrived, my whole mindset changed. With the baby by my side, a lot of that anxiety has melted away. I'll keep working hard and face whatever comes next. Alright, once I finish editing the footage for the next video, it's bedtime. I need to rest. The baby will probably wake up crying for milk in the middle of the night, and I'll be on duty again. See you in the next video, everyone. Bye bye.